Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, boys and girls, no matter where in the world you might be. Thank you for joining us. It's the morning, evening, afternoon, after the night before. Let's get stuck into some bits and bobs, shall we? Here we go. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. We know that many of you will be listening on replay because there is Champions League football tonight, but because we're in it, not in it, we don't care. Okay. And those of you listening on audio on Acast, Spotify and iTunes, good evening and welcome to you. Joining me once again, my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell.
Squaddies, at ease, let's do it. Come on.
We have a very special guest in the house. It's the first of a double bill. I'll tell you about the what that means a bit later on in the show. But joining us for the first half hour here is one of my favourite humans. Even though he's a Crystal Palace fan, I've allowed him to come into the show today. It's actor, writer, producer and author of a hilarious new book, autobiography, which we were going to talk about in the second bill. I'm screwing up the intro now, but welcome back to the show, one of our favourite friends, author of Caught with My Pants Down and Other Tales from Hollywood Life, is CPFC Supporters Trust founder, Mr. Jim Piddick. Jim, welcome to the show.
Couldn't be happier to be here.
I bet you couldn't, eh? Look at you. Looking all...
Are we on video as well? Oh, wrong way.
Kev, I knew he was going to gloat,
No,
right?
I'm not gloating involved at all.
No, but he looks very dashing. Yeah, go on, Kev.
Say, he deserves it. Palace were by far the better team last night. And you know what? Fair play to them. We weren't at the races. They outperformed us. Fair play, Jim. Fair play to you.
Yeah, it was a funny one. The first half, I thought we were totally dominant. I couldn't believe when I saw the possession statistics. They were 30% Palace and 70% Arsenal, because I would have thought in the second half that might be true. But overall, I thought the first half we totally dominated. It was certainly the best 45 minutes I've seen us play this year. And I thought we just caught Arsenal completely on the back foot. They just were not ready for it. And our energy, everything was superior. And then the second half, it definitely evened out a bit. And, you had a couple of chances there that could have changed things. But, I mean, for a Palace fan, that was a real measure of where we've come.
Well, I'm sure you're thinking of producing the same type of performance against Chelsea. You do that, you're gonna go very close.
Yeah, I mean, we lost 1-0 to them not that long ago, and we're a bit unlucky. It's games change on little things. I think your defence yesterday looked surprisingly fragile in that first half. I mean, I thought the fullbacks were terrible. On the other hand, you caught Wilfred Zaha on a night of extraordinary exuberance. And Cedric didn't have a chance. I mean, he did not have a chance. And is it Tavares you pronounced it, the other guy?
Tavares.
Yeah. Tavares. Well, Tavares would have had he'd have been in terrible trouble if Olise had been playing. If Marco Olise had been playing, it would have been a nightmare for him, because Jordan Ayew had a great game, but Olise would have literally left him on the floor and time again. So I dread to think what would have happened if Michael had been playing in that first half.
So Jim, obviously Crystal Palace have taken 4 points off Manchester City this season. We're actually lucky we grabbed a point off you at the Emirates, okay? I think your league position does dictate kind of maybe where you're at in your journey, but at the same time, I think teams have underestimated you because there's still that, not the Roy Hodgson stigma because he kept you in the Premier League for so long, but I don't think people expect you to play the way you are. Yes, they do their homework, but the prelude to this match was all like, Zaha's not going to play. X isn't going to play. You've got the FA Cup semi-final coming up. Would you rather take 3 points against Arsenal or win that that FA Cup semi-final? Our legend schooled us last night, and I think he quite enjoyed it. How much do you love Patrick Vieira? And don't tell anybody what I told you before the season started.
Well, you can tell them.
No, I did tell them. But we'll tell them again. We'll remind them. Tell us about Patrick Vieira.
Well, all I can say is, it can't be overstated that we have Super Pat Vieira. He knows exactly what we need. Mitchell at the back, Elise in attack, Palace fans on their way to Wembley. That's basically the statement that the club has to issue on the matter. He's been superb. He's been absolutely brilliant. And I think, there's a lot of people that need to take credit for that. Obviously, Steve Parish for having faith in him. And may I also mention Mr. Ian Moody, who was very, very much in favour of Patrick from the beginning. And Dougie Friedman has been superb in player acquisition. So the three of them have really supported Patrick in an amazing way. But I think, the jury was still out, after a few games. And I said to people, by Christmas, you'll have an idea. And we did. And it was looking like a good work in progress. Now it's looking like an extremely good work in progress. And we could have had, the game at Arsenal was typical of about 4 or 5 games we've had this season where we literally threw away 2 points in the last few minutes, the game at the Emirates, which I was at. And so we could be 10 points better off than we are. We'd still only be 9th, by the way. That such is the gap. But I think it's a fantastic season of transition. He's obviously well-liked. He's obviously well-respected. And he seems very, very level-headed, and he doesn't get too up or doesn't get too down. And I think he is very thorough in his approach. And I think we caught him at the right time when he'd learned the trade of managing in New York and at Nice and at Manchester City at a lower level. And I don't mean Manchester City at a lower level, but lower level in Manchester City. And I think that's you're seeing the fruits of that now, and he's beloved at Palace right now.
Is there a sense that, I hate this dialogue where a manager's doing really well at a mid-tier team, for example, and, he's building something and the narrative starts, will he take, is he a candidate to take over from Arteta at Arsenal one day? Is he a candidate to take over from Pep Guardiola one day? Do you think that, modern day football, there's an instant gratification in it too, but is it possible for a manager like him to stay at Palace? You guys have had so many managers over the years, but to truly build something, I'm not saying pull off a Leicester City, but look what Wolves have done. Look how some of these teams have gotten into Europe over the last few seasons. Do you think that you can keep him?
Yeah, I think it was certainly for another year at least. I think that he would be very rash to move that quickly. Yeah, I do. I get a little nervous when the media jumps on all over Palace, as they have done in the last week or two, saying, this is a hugely exciting team. And because I remember the team of the 80s, all the publicity around that. I'm old enough to remember that. And that fizzled out very quickly. The club's in a much better situation now. There's greater foundations. But I think everybody jumps on everything now. It's just, Michael Elise had played 6 games for Palace. And it's like, oh, Arsenal want him. Manchester City want him. Real Madrid want him. Barcelona want him. My Sunday League football team want him too. But, there's a point where you go, give someone a chance just to bed in. And I think this causes, errors in people's careers. Obviously, Wilf went to Manchester United way too early.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to be very careful, and I hope players have good advisors. Well, they don't. Why do I say that? Because, it just gets ludicrous. I think Patrick Vieira will definitely have a solid 2 to 3 years at Palace and see where we go from there. I think if we do become a European contender, I don't see why he'd want to leave. I don't see why he'd want to leave because, if it's going well and you're in the same kind of sandpit as all those other big teams, why would you risk, changing the formula?
Henry, I don't think we're having a meltdown. Maybe you've been listening to other shows or Arsenal fans phoning into other shows having a meltdown. Henry says, come on, he's at a club with no pressure. I think there's pressure everywhere. There's pressure everywhere if you're managing in the Premier League, and there's expectations, because if he fails, you lose a player like Zaha. You lose those new players that everyone's raving about.
Well, I think it's a different kind of pressure as well. If you think the pressure at the top of the league is bad, you wouldn't try going down the bottom. You know, there's a lot of pressure trying to stay in. There's a lot more pressure trying to stay in the Premier League, let me tell you, as opposed to going for European spots. The real pressure is down at the bottom because livelihoods are at it. And look, there's been serious upheaval at Crystal Palace. Let's be brutally honest. Patrick Vieira, as a manager, hasn't really ripped up trees wherever he's been. He's done okay at certain places, but he hasn't ripped up trees. I think Crystal Palace, he could build, he could really put the foundations and the footings down of something if he can get it right. Some really good youngsters coming through. Got Wilfried Zaha and some of the older players who have, some stayed. He's gone out and got some good recruitment. As Jim said, Dougie Freedman's helped really well. And I think they've really come together. They're getting better. That's the difference. So Crystal Palace are getting better as the season's going on. Now they've got a couple of players who have made their England debuts. Got to say, Tyreek Mitchell at left back has done fantastically well. Looks really solid. Takes pride in his defending. Defending's number one priority first. Not, can he attack? No, can he defend? And that's really important. So I think he's done a really, really good job of knitting it all together.
I couldn't have answered that question better. I seem to remember this happened last time you were on the show. You said literally what I would have said to that question. I mean, absolutely word for word. The pressure is, that's ridiculous. The pressure is just the same, if not higher. Because Patrick Vieira was the top of the list of people to get fired first, managers first. He was the bookies bet to be the first Premier League manager to be fired. That's pressure. I don't care whichever way you cut it, whether you're top, the middle, or the bottom. There's pressure in the Premier League.
I was one of those people. I had a bet with Jim at the beginning of the season. I did confess on the show the other day that I said to Jim that Patrick Vieira... I know, Kev. I've had some clangers this season, haven't I?
There's a couple of minis in there. I've put a couple of mini humble pies in there for you, Jim, so Sophie could eat them.
The Arteta one is still baking. Although, did you put the heat down a little bit last night? Did you turn it down just a smidgen, una poquito?
No, it has to be at a certain temperature right now.
Keep warm.
Yeah, it's just warming through nicely. Because it's very deep.
Well, I was, not only did I, I can't remember what we bet, Jim, but I'm sure I'll find it on the DM. I was emphatic about it too.
£100,000.
Was it 100?
I'll just check my notes.
Was it Saka? Did I bet you Saka? That would be a lot more than that.
Yeah,
and I was convinced by it, and I think that's because of Vieira here in the US. He did decent. He got NYCFC to the playoffs. I thought his tenure in Nice was a disaster, but someone in chat just said this, which I thought was really interesting. Hold on, let me just find it real quick, because I thought it was an interesting comment about Vieira. Patrick Vieira is calm and collected, yes, but there was one that says that Patrick also proved that change of a manager is beneficial. The big difference between Arteta and Vieira is that the former never had prior experience and never learned from his mistakes. And I think that's a really good point, in that Vieira's journey, he's learned a lot from the disasters that he's had or the mistakes that have happened to know kind of where he wants to go and what he wants to do. But yes, Jim, I apologise.
Well, no, you don't have to apologise at all. I mean, that was kind of, everyone had their doubts about him at a certain level. But I do think the Nice thing is incorrect. Actually, I think he ended up in the top 6 or 7 both seasons that he was at Nice. It was a very difficult time. He had Balotelli there, for God's sakes. He had lots of difficult players, and it was juggling that. It was juggling personalities that undid him in the end there. He actually, if you look at his record at Nice, it wasn't that horrific. It wasn't spectacular, but it was not as horrific as people think.
Okay, that's fair, and I think perhaps of that Balotelli narrative and some of the stories that were coming out from there makes it feel like, not that he didn't have total control, but maybe I am underplaying what he actually achieved there. And I think the expectations for him are always super high. But Kev, the players last night for Crystal Palace, they spent far less than we did in the summer transfer market, and that has been quite the conversation today among a lot of Arsenal fans. I want to get Jim's take on this in a sec, but is there anyone on that team that I felt like their entire team would play for us last night, of course, because they were on fire, but who impressed you the most?
I think they all impressed me, if I'm honest with you. I mean, we mentioned on, I think it was Friday, that how big a banana skin game is this? Mm-hmm. And I think I said it's an 8. Do you remember, Sophie? I said it's an 8. I said because realistically, you could say, yeah, Crystal Palace, they've got an FA Cup semi-final coming. Wilfried Zaha maybe play. Elise maybe play. But they're playing for their spots in the FA Cup. They are a decent side, and you saw what they done against Man City. Gave Man City as much trouble as they could get. Beat them up there. So
they were great up there.
We weren't taking this lightly, that's for sure. I think they've got a good mixture, as I've said before. I mean, Nathaniel Klein at right back has come in. He was at Liverpool a few years ago. England international a few years ago. Capable player. Tyreek Mitchell, England international now. It's been very solid for the last probably 2 seasons. Gahey at the back, I like him.
I like him a lot.
I like him, really like him. He's not afraid to step in and get tight. Kouyaté will always do a good job in there. You give him a job and he'll do it. He'll be a screen. Gallagher, I think, has been a revelation. He really has been a revelation. He's got high energy and he puts his foot in and he presses like a madman. But the jewel in the crown for me is Zaha. He's always has been and always will be. But you know what? Ayew was a good backup. And Matete, he gave us big problems. Big, physical, strong.
My gosh.
And he was bouncing our centre-halves all over the place.
He's a beast.
I appreciate that. Could we do with a Matete right now? I think we could. So, if I'm honest with you, Zaha and Matete, if we could loan them off you, Jim, I'll take them for the next 9 games, if you don't mind, because we really lack that presence at times as a centre forward and as a game changer sometimes. Obviously, we got younger players. We got Martinelli. We've got talented young players, Saka, Emil Smith Rowe, Martinelli. But Zaha's been there. He's been through the tough time. He's been at Manchester United. He's seen what it's like on the other side. He's come home. And, he's the talisman. He's the jewel, isn't he? So, listen, I still think Crystal Palace, they're a decent side. They're not a great side. They're a decent side. But they're playing well now, which is really important.
Poor Unai Emery. He wanted Zaha. If only that had happened. Jim, from the outsider-insider point of view, looking at us, were you shocked last night? I mean, as a fan, you're going to be confident going into the game because your team's doing well. You're in the FA Cup semi-final. Yeah. You've got a day at Wembley coming up. Were you shocked by us last night?
I was shocked at how dominant we were in that first half. There's no question. Listen, first of all, some teams just stack up well against other teams. And for whatever reason this year, we've played 2 very good games against Arsenal. I mean, we seem to be well suited to play against you guys. And at the Emirates, we were desperately unlucky not to get 3 points. So I think that happens. And against Manchester City, it's a similar thing. Now, we've played other teams and not looked particularly good in 1 or 2 games against them. So it works. It's just one of those things that sometimes happens. And we happen to be well suited to play against Arsenal. That said, I was surprised at how how much you were bullied in that first half. I mean, part of that's Gallagher, who's been sensational all season, and that's going to be pivotal for Palace. I mean, we can all be, sort of riding the crest of a wave right now, but the truth is that a lone player has been absolutely a linchpin for us this season, and that's got to be addressed in the summer. Having said that, a lot of players now are playing at their very best. Mateta, as you mentioned, couldn't get a look in until Christmas. I mean, he couldn't get a look in. And it was almost certain that he was going to be, they were going to get rid of Palace, were going to get rid of him in the window. And then they got a deal to get him cheaper than originally thought. So we signed him as cover, and he's become the number one choice, and rightly so. He's proven himself. The thing about him is he's just got incredible confidence. He just believes in himself, and that is worth a ton, and he's improved every single game. And everybody's playing at their best level right now. So you saw the best of Crystal Palace last night. We haven't always played like that. The good news is, for Palace fans, is that we've been playing like that now for about 6 or 7 games in a row. So things are moving in the right direction. I don't think we've conceded a goal for 4 or 5 games. So that's pretty extraordinary, considering we were leaking them earlier in the season.
That is incredible, actually. Completely incredible. Where do you think your season ends from here? I've got something here. Kev will love this picture. And we're going to show more of this when Jim comes back next week, because we're going to do a special on his book. If you're curious, please go to Amazon.com. Check out Caught with My Pants Down. It's, Jim writes about his, being a lifelong football fan, a Palace fan, and he integrates it just amazingly with Hollywood stories. Guys like this, I'm sure you've seen some of his films, that's for sure, Mr. Kevin Hart. And then stories like this as well. Kev, you'll love this picture.
Legends, two Palace legends there.
Oh, yes, Righty and Brighty, wow.
Yep.
What a great combo they were. That was a fun team, actually, that Crystal Palace team. Wasn't it, Kev? That and I'm sure, Jim, you loved watching them. But those two together, and what gentlemen as well. Love Mark Bright, such a good guy as well.
Well, he's doing a great job as well, isn't he? Besides Steve Parish, let's not detract away from that. Having an old boy back at the club, knows his football, knows his players.
Absolutely, and he's been very good
doing a sterling job.
Yeah, great with
a sterling job,
looking after loan players and all that. He's fantastic to have as a club ambassador, and working with the younger players.
Yeah, it really is, and of course, Righty then became our legend, and then this. I was gonna. And then this fella here too. By the way, he is aging very well. He looks like he's got that European glowy tan. I went away for a few days and got a bit of a colour, Mr. McGoldrick.
Eddie Mack, love it.
Eddie, he's fantastic. He was my coach that day.
So you were playing in a charity match here, Jim?
I was playing in a charity match at Sellhurst. Yeah, I actually scored a penalty against Perry Suckling. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Please don't remember that he let in 9 goals against Liverpool, because that detracts from my achievement there.
No, do you know after 7 they forget goalkeepers?
Yeah.
After 7, they forget.
Well, Jim is going to come back next week, and we're going to talk about his amazing book. There's forwards by Hugh Bonville, Russell Brand, Seth Green. Just some incredible talent who've totally endorsed his book. He's got some fantastic stories, and there's even a Will Smith story in the book. But
no, false advertising. False advertising.
But
I'd get slapped. I get proper slapped if I.
And here it is. It's one of the best covers I've ever seen, Kev.
Oh, jeez.
Look at those legs. Come on. Look at those legs for a 66-year-old man. 66 week anyway.
You're not. Are you 66?
On Friday, I'm 66. Look at, come on.
Jim,
look at those legs.
You know what?
That's not a spray tan. That's natural.
You've got the old golfer tan going on there a little bit as well. Maybe the hot pant tan going there a little bit. But yes, good pins for a 66-year-old. Check you out. So caught with your pants down. We're going to do something fun with that next week when Jim comes back, and got lots more fantastic pictures to share as well. And he's got great football tales. And we have a lot of listeners who love the old Hollywood tales as well. Kev and I do. We always end up, like one of our shows on Friday, we end up going pop culture. Last Friday we were talking about Sophia Loren.
Or something. All sorts,
80s TV shows. So, yeah.
By the way, talking of pop culture, in case you're wondering, this isn't my house. So I'm in a New
Are
York
you in a
hotel.
trailer?
No, I'm in a New York hotel room. If you're going, God almighty, he's got terrible taste. It's a very modern kind of, not my kind of, well, it's fine. It's a lovely hotel, but it's not my taste.
I was wondering if you were on set for a minute. So, yeah.
No, tomorrow I'm on set.
So before you go, because there'll be some Palace fans that listen to this as well, the Crystal Palace Football Club Supporters Trust. We have the Arsenal Supporters Trust as well. We have them on often talking about our club, things that go on at the club, keeping fans informed. You founded it. Can you just, before you go, tell us a little bit about it and how Palace fans, if they're not involved, can get involved in the type of intel that you share with them?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not involved anymore. I founded it in 1999 with Richard House and Paul Newman, not that Paul Newman, who were both Palace fans, and it was in the first administration, so we helped kind of convert the club out of that into another disastrous era with Simon Jordan. If you're listening, Simon, I hope you are. You are dreadful.
Do you like him as a pundit, or do you just?
Well, that's what he should have been. He's like Donald Trump. He's a mini version of Trump. He's a heckler. He's great as a pundit, and he's ridiculously bad at managing anything or running anything. So sue me. And that's the tone of the book, believe me. Anyway, what was the question? Yeah, so no, I there are other people running the trust right now. I think Chris Waters, there's a bunch of people doing a great job. It sort of went into mothballs a bit after we did our bit, because Simon Jordan wanted nothing to do with us, having helped him get the club. I'm like an honorary director now. So honestly, I'm not terribly well up on what's going on with the trust. But we're very proud of is that the model that we set up became the model for Supporters Trust all over the UK and Europe.
It's great.
It was based on kind of a working man's club kind of set up. So it was not a non-profit, and it's not a profit organisation.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, Jim, let everyone know where they can find you. I have been putting up the old Twitter address and your website and the book, and we'll do more of this next week as well, where we go into more depth. So yeah,
that would be lovely.
So here we go. You're at Real Jim Piddock. You can buy the book on Amazon.com. It's available on Kindle, paperback, and audio. I'm assuming you do the audio.
I did narrate the audiobook, and there's a hardcover. Some people ask me about hardcover. That is, I believe, coming out this week. There's a hardcover which looks like rather nice. It's got
lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. And just, so you can see it again with your own eyes if you're looking for it. You can't miss it, really. It's pretty special. So yeah, Jim, thanks for making time for us. I know you're on a whirlwind tour promoting the book, weaving your Hollywood magic, as well as, are you off to England to watch some football?
I am, yes. I've finished shooting. I'm doing The Blacklist this week, the TV show, and then I go back to LA for about 10 days, 2 weeks, and then I'll be back. I'll be in England for about 2 or 3 months, I think. Yeah. So
excellent.
I'll be back for the cup final. Let's hope Palace are in it.
Well, listen, we'll chat next week, and thanks so much for joining us today to wax lyrical about Crystal Palace and Patrick Vieira, and that $100,000 I owe you is in the mail.
Lovely to talk to you both again, and thank you for being so gracious in the speech.
Cheers, Jim. Thanks, mate. All the
best. Take care, Jim. That's the wonderful Jim. I love him, Kev. I love him.
He's funny, good fun, isn't he?
Yeah, it's really good fun. Top shelf guy. Really brilliant. Okay, so yeah, he's in the blacklist. How
Good. That's good series.
Yes, yeah, good series.
Yep,
He does
good
some great
series.
stuff. He really does. And our squaddies will love his Hollywood stories next week and his football stories as well. We love doing shows like that. Right, Kev, before we go out and let everyone go enjoy some football and we catch the second half as well, is the question of Kieran Tierney going into this next game this weekend. Partey having scans. I'm hoping that with Thomas Partey, Kev, it's not as serious.
As serious as we would like to think it could be. Obviously, we need him. So far, we done a show again. We done a show who's our most important player, and I think it's when everybody's playing, he's our most important player because he makes us tick. What you see when he doesn't play well, very difficult for our team to play well because he's so instrumental. So I sincerely hope it's nothing too serious, and it might be a week because for some of them big games we're going to need him. So
yeah, for sure. Now we're going to the game with Brighton. See, Kev, what I was saying on Sky Sports this morning was I would have come out of this game feeling the same confidence, but I do have a smidgen of fear because losing Tierney for the entire season is a bit of a punch in the stomach, right? Mm-hmm. Losing Thomas Partey on top of that would be a double punch in the stomach. Not knowing when Tomi's coming back isn't great, but Cedric has been doing a very good job deputizing for him, right? Mm-hmm. So do you feel the same way? Because going into Brighton, how do you do you put Nuno right back into the team, Kev?
Maybe not. Again, like I mentioned last night, really tough for us to have Kieran Tierney going under the surgeon's knife and won't be back this season. So what we've got to do, Sophie, like any good side does, we've got to adjust. Now, how do we adjust? Do we put Tavares back into the team and let him play through it? Or do we adjust? Do we put a Rob Holding at centre half with Gabriel, put Ben White at right back, put Cedric at left back, and we go from there? You know, that to me, that makes us more solid. But you mentioned Saka playing left back, which obviously is another opportunity. Of course, that can happen. So it's going to be interesting how we adjust.
Do you think with the challenges we face with Tierney and Nuno being the option, a lot of Arsenal fans and some of the squaddies last night were saying it and some are saying it today with playing the three?
Yeah, I think we could always adjust to play three at the back. But I think the manager usually likes to start with four. Because what that does, that sets us up going forward. Everybody, this is how they've trained. Everybody knows what they're doing. But we could always adjust to three. Mm-hmm. You know, listen, he might change it totally and go three at the back. He might do that. He just might. But he hasn't. Very rarely we start three. Very rare we start three. So again, can I see him go? Can I see him changing it? Maybe not at the moment, Soph. But who knows? If Thomas Partey isn't fit or is going to be out for a longer period, he might go with 3-5-2. Mm-hmm. Because that will make us a lot more solid in the middle of the pitch.
I'm a little bit concerned about it because you remember early on last season, you and David Hillier were also talking about when it wasn't working, when we weren't scoring goals, we reverted to a 4-4-2 and that worked. Mm-hmm. And Arteta showed some adaptability and a plan B, Kev. He's really going to have to dig deep here, isn't he, to be confident. And this is all going to be, you can tell me, you're the player. The training between now and that Brighton game, Kev, how important is this week for the boys? I mean, it always is, but
Well, look. What has to happen is obviously they've probably been in. They've had a chat, had a meeting about yesterday. It's unacceptable, all that kind of thing. But it's really just to see who's available because we're in the last knockings now. So all that hard training and crazy stuff is done. So it's maybe more just putting pictures in people's head, train a bit, do a bit of this and put pictures in people's head, recover. But I don't think he'd be picking the team just yet. Maybe Thursday, he'll be really looking at working on the pattern of the team, seeing who's available, and going from there. But we've got to react. So that's the most important thing now. Whoever plays, Sophie, whoever is chosen, we have to react. So the onus is on us.
Kev, do you see, and we're at home, and our home fans have been, our fans home and away. I mean, especially even last night, our away fans were amazing. You said it, Kev. And our away fans have just been on another level. Of course, our home fans have been fantastic as well. But it's going to be so important they don't get frustrated that when we revert back to our old type. Last night the team reverted back to an old type, right? From Brentford and maybe the season before.
And we didn't like it, did we?
We didn't like it.
What's going on? Yeah, we don't like it.
And the same with the fans. We got to stick behind the team, stick with the players, don't give up, even if things don't start off well. There's going to be, they're going to look to, I think, get off to a fast start, grab an early goal, Kev. Do you think Nuno's confidence is shot? He's a professional footballer, but he is young. But do you fear that?
Yeah,
you've been in those situations?
Yeah, his confidence is low. That's for sure, Sophie. His confidence is low. But you made a statement last night that you fear for him because we may never see him again, solely because you were concerned about his mental, where he was mentally. Sometimes, Sophie, when you keep falling off the hook, you've got to get back on it. He's got to gain some confidence from somewhere because, Sophie, if we're honest, he playing well, he's the best person for that job.
I mean, we were raving about him earlier in the season.
Exactly. So we've got to get him playing, Soph. If we're gonna say, right, you're playing, we're at home, you're playing, we want you to get on the front foot, etc. Why not give him another go? Why not? Because you know what, Sophie? I'd rather try and build him up, build his confidence up, because he hasn't been in around the first team for a long time. So he needs to be built back up. He's just not going to hit the ground running where he was.
Yeah. I agree with Jimmy.
He's right. He's only a young lad.
He is. And I also agree with Jimmy. I'm not sure Arteta's handled him quite well, in the sense that, look, Arteta also has to make decisions to win games, right? So coming off before halftime, coming off being subbed during halftime, he let him play through the Liverpool game, Kev. He let him play through that a little bit more.
And don't forget, Sophie, he started the game after that as well. It's not as if Arteta has just chopped him. He hasn't. He's let him. He's made some mistakes and he's let him play through it because he's a young player. That's the right thing to do. But Sophie, with young players, you do get peaks and troughs.
Mm-hmm.
You do get peaks and troughs. He's not an established first team player yet, so we're going to see some dipping in his form, and we really need him to get up to somewhere near his best. We really do, because we need him.
Yeah, and knowing that there's no return for Tierney, knowing that is 100% going to be the case, I fear that Arteta, not that he doesn't believe in him, but I think maybe he's lost trust in him now, and he's got to. The stakes are so high now, because
that's why I think Cedric will go left back.
Yeah.
That's why.
I have a horrible... I think if Partey was fit, Arteta would maybe try the Xhaka thing again, but I also think Saka, for me, is the best option for that. And going forward, Kev, do you start Martinelli against Brighton?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to, Sophie, I think we're in that spot now where we've got to get all our weapons on the pitch, Soph. We've got to get them all in the pitch. And if it means we'll play 4-3-3 with a little adjustment, that's what we do. Or we go 4-4-2.
Yeah. I wouldn't... Here's my team, right? I would have Saka at left back, White, Gabriel, Cedric, Sambi, Xhaka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Pepe. That would be my team against Brighton. And again, Arteta can make adjustments for Southampton because he's got I say this loosely, Kev, the luxury of those 2 games to see how best to combat what comes next. Chelsea, then 3 days later, Manchester United, then a week later, it's West Ham, and then a week after that, it's the North London derby. Plus, we've got Newcastle, Leeds sandwiched in between, and of course, Everton at the end of the season.
There's a lot of football.
But it's not over yet, Kev. It's not.
Exactly.
It's not over. It's not over.
There's twists and turns going on. The buffer that we had, Soph, just isn't there anymore.
We've got one more chance.
We got, that buffer is the game in hand. Whereas we had 2 games in hand, so that little buffer, if we could win that game, fair enough. But, Sophie, there's a lot of football to be played. 27 points up for grabs.
And you know what, Kev? I fancy Villa to get something against Spurs. It would be typical of all of a sudden, after the season they've had, Tottenham are the favourites. Tottenham this. Tottenham that. Of course, they have Kane and Son, who are on fire right now. Their January signings have done well. Is that going to be the thing that comes back to bite us in the arse? The fact that we did not get any January signings in, or even some loans to try and booster our squad. We feared this moment could come. It's here. Now, how are we going to handle it? What is the manager going to do? Look, I just presented a team. Kevin presented a team that could beat Brighton, right? Southampton, I think, is a little bit trickier because I think they've got a little bit more talent in their squad, Kevin. They've got a game changer in James Ward-Prowse who could score a wonder goal on a whim, and they've been a bit of a bogey team for us as well. But we've got the time to make the adjustments. So the scoop is Kev is not here for the rest of the week, you guys. He is out for the rest of the week, but he will be present. There will be videos. There will be a ton of stuff that he'll be firing your way. And that he will be asking questions. He's out for the rest of the week, so do not fear. Kev will still be here, and I will too. So it's all going to be good, and we're going to lead you up to Brighton. He's going to have some interesting questions that he's going to throw out to you between now and the big game. Welcome UG as well. He says, I have no negativity. I'm enjoying the rare position we're in of challenging for top 4. I miss the nerves, excitement and disappointment that challenging for top 4 brings.
Well said, Universal.
Yeah, very well said. And once again, to everyone who's listening on replay on audio, thank you so much as well for joining us too. Before we do go, I have a little bit of a video which I haven't even seen yet. But apparently you had a bit of a date in Manchester today with... Magic Mike. All right, I'll just play it.
Hi, squaddies. Sophie, how you doing? At ease, squaddies. I've got a nice little introduction for you. I've got a young striker with an absolutely fantastic name. He's Shake and Jake. I'd like to introduce him. Jake, how are you? We'll do the salute for the squaddies. At ease. So, I have watched a video of you scoring goals, and you look to be more of a natural. How do you find scoring goals?
So much fun. I love getting out there and just enjoying myself. Scoring makes it a lot more of an experience, obviously, but just getting out there and playing, it's the best.
Fantastic. Well, I've heard that you've. By the way, who is your dad?
Oh, I don't know if you guys might know him, but it's Magic Mike.
I'm his dad. Squaddies. Sorry I can't be with you in the chat, but I think I'd rather be here. No offense, Demsek. No offense, Newman.
Matty
K. All you guys, you wonderful Tammy, all of you, but, I'm skipping the show tonight because this is happening. So, cheers to all the squaddies. This is how I salute you with a Guinness.
Look after yourself, squaddies.
Can I say it?
Go on.
He cut himself off.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Ryan's like, come
We
on.
had a lovely
Soph
time.
loves
Had
to
a lovely time with Magic. Magic and Shake, Jake. Yeah.
I just can't help myself. I have to give it away. I mean, you don't ever, don't tell me. I won't tell you about Ozark.
I'm not robbing any banks with you or anything like that. I'm keeping anything. You tell it. We're coming in to rob it. Oh, jeez. He's got a gun, Oh, Jesus.
How cute is just Kev? You crack me up. Anyway, well, I didn't totally give it away. Well, I did. I gave away. It's like giving the end. It's like he didn't tell me. Like he just said, "Here's a video if you want to play it."
You're supposed to watch it.
I was half asleep when he sent it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that bit I do get. I know you've been grafting crazy.
Soph, we will meet you one day. Yeah, good fun.
That's good fun, isn't it? That's good fun.
Soph will definitely meet you one day. We're going to make that happen for sure. How's Jake? He's got a good talent, Kev.
Good talent, lovely lad as well. Really nice young man. He's a handsome boy as well, by the way.
Yeah, he's a good looking.
Obviously, takes after his mother, doesn't he? With Magic. Obviously, no, it was really good. I tell you what, Magic's lost some weight. Soph looks really well. He looks really well getting there. So
yeah, he's on a health kick.
Yeah, it was lovely to spend. Well, he's tasted the O'Shea's Guinness, and it was like, ooh, unbelievable. Yeah, it's just like being back in Ireland. I tell you, in there. No, it was great to see him, and they're on a whirlwind tour of Europe. Them two.
Yeah,
Football
are they at
tour.
the City game tonight?
Yeah, they're at City game tonight. Yeah. Good stuff. Brilliant stuff. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to get over. And someone said to me today, they're like, cancel your trip. It's over. Top four's finished. And I'm like, no. It's not going to be over until the last game of the season. It just isn't. And we're going to find a way to deal with our injuries, Kev. We have to. This team's got character. Well, you know what? We're going to find out a lot about this team on against Brighton.
Yeah, we are. Definitely.
We're going to find out a lot.
Well, this is it for you for this week, Super Kev.
Well, it is and it isn't.
And it isn't.
Obviously, I have to send you the little bits and pieces.
Yes.
So, squaddies, behave yourself. I'm watching.
And you'll send your Kevin Says questions in for Friday as well. So we'll put those up for everybody. And maybe I have a couple treats up my sleeve for you kids for the rest of the week, seeing it was a bit of a rough night last night. And then we'll start talking about when I'm coming over and if you squaddies are around and at the game.
Doing a if we could do a live one, that would
we'll do
nice.
a live show with Kev. Who knows? Watch this space. It's going to be absolutely epic, right, Super Kev?
Of course, it always is, isn't it?
Absolutely. Listen, we had quite a few in chat tonight for a football night, a big night of football, Champions League. Getting everyone out now so they can... I had 2 hours sleep last night, kids. So if I've mumbled a little bit and given away surprises and video endings, it's because I have had a lack of sleep. I'm going to go get some lunch now and watch the second half. Super Kev, take us out.
Hostess with the Moses. Thanks again, Sophie. As always, a brilliant host. Squaddies, look after yourself. Take good care. We love you. and tell your loved ones you love them. Although I'm not going to be with you, you will see me and I'm going to see you. So look after yourself, squaddies. Take good care. No matter what you do, we love you. At ease, squaddies.
I had to do that, sorry. Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. Please don't forget to go to Football Prizes, get your ticket for Patrick Vieira. Sorry, forgot to do that, have to do it, so do apologise. I hope I didn't ruin Kevin's ending again.